Hello everyone, welcome back to Royalty Soaps. Today we're going to be unboxing some presents and making a few super easy DIY holiday crafts. Stephenson sent me these giant boxes of goodies. I showed you that I would be doing a video with them whenever I cleaned up my entire studio. Like I showed you on the counter, like, woo, look at these. We're going to do something with these. So they gave me some suspending melt and pour base, meaning when you add things to it, like jojoba beads, they will stay floating instead of all sinking to the bottom. They also sent me some SLS and SLES free melt and pour base. Now I'm going to open up the second container and we'll see what's in here. Ooh, looky, it says, whoa, I lost the card. The future of personal care is in your hands. Thank you, Stephenson. Ooh, what's this? Okay, so they sent me 3 OPC. So that is their foaming bath butter base. And ooh, this is a dark color. African black soap. Ooh. Now these 4 melt and pour bases are available at multiple suppliers in the United States and abroad. I will link those down below for you for convenience. And let's get to making. Okay, so I have my melt and pour. I've sanitized everything. I have a hairnet on. I have gloves on. So we are ready to start crafting. Just peel the lid right off of that. It smells so good. For this Stephenson melt and pour base, you can add up to 3% of other additives, including 1% fragrance. So today I'm using Twilight Tea and Amber. This is from Brambleberry, and I felt like it complements this soap base really well. Super easy to get out of the container. And then I like to chop mine up into maybe smaller pieces. I think 1-inch pieces are normally what's recommended, but I find that the smaller you chop, the quicker it melts. Super easy. All you need is a cutting board and a big kitchen knife, which I think most of us have. And if melt and pour crafting is going to be your jam this holiday season, I do have a couple of recommendations for you. You don't have to buy a lot of fancy equipment with melt and pour. That's one of the things that makes it so awesome. But you do need something to measure out your colors. If you would like to use teaspoon, tablespoon measures, you can. But if you want to be more precise and recreate your recipes, you're going to need a scale for that. And you're certainly going to need a scale to measure out your fragrance. So if you're making smaller batches, here's what I would recommend. This is my AWS 100 scale. You can see that right here. I got it off of Amazon. I'll leave you guys a link down below. It very, very accurately measures incredibly small amounts. And for the melt and pour crafter who's doing this at home and wanting to give these as gifts, you're not going to be using full ounces of fragrance oil. So having something that will precisely measure will really help you out. I'm going to be measuring in grams today just for precision. Change my mode here to grams. Because I turned it on with my pitcher already on, it has auto-taired my pitcher, so I can just add my melt and pour straight to the white pitcher. Okay, so we have 1,006 grams of melt and pour. I'm just going to use 1,000 to make all of my measuring easier, and 1% of 1,000 is 10. I will get this to melting in the microwave in 30-second increments. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and measure out our additives. I've changed our mode to grams. Add my little cup here, press the tare button so we get 0 again. And we'll add our 10 grams of fragrance oil. And for those who aren't using a scale, 10 grams ended up being about 16 milliliters if you're using a pipette. Gonna tare that again. Going to add 10 grams of coffee extract. You can get this from a variety of suppliers. Coffee extract is such a fun addition. And then just for the lightest amount of exfoliation, I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla powder. I'm going to add about 2 grams of this. All of my additives are now successfully blended and measured, so we can add it to the melt and pour once it's melted. Realistically, this took about 7 minutes to melt completely. I have found that the African black soap base does need to get a little bit warmer to completely melt, and it's a bit of a thicker, stickier melt and pour, and it develops a skin on the top relatively quickly. So if that's happening to you, don't worry about it. It's completely normal for this melt and pour soap base. And now that everything is melted, I can add my additives here. It is at about 160 degrees. I typically pour other bases at about 120 degrees, so it's 40 degrees warmer. But you can see, again, if I stop mixing and you wait just a second, it will start to develop a bit of a skin on top. So like I said, you got to work a little warmer with this one. It's not a big deal though, and it's totally worth it. Make sure I scrape all that vanilla powder in. I do like to saturate my powders with either a fragrance oil or another additive before I add them, because they can make clumps in your melt and pour, and then they won't get fully incorporated and sink to the bottom. Wow, that looks so pretty. Gonna spritz a little bit as I continue to mix, and I'll mix mine for 30 seconds or so just to make sure that every little inch has been completely blended in. Gorgeous. Okay, so I have a basic rectangle mold that I am going to pour into, because when my melt and pour is so saturated and chock full of skin-loving ingredients, I typically go for a more simple design because I want the ingredients to be the star of the show. Now, you don't have to do this. It is a personal opinion. Use any mold you want, but this is the direction I'm going in with my bars today. I'm gonna make sure they're filled to the tippy top, and then I have a little left over for an overflow mold. Gonna spritz this just to pop all those air bubbles that have floated to the top. These smell and look absolutely stunning, so I'm gonna let them sit for a minimum of 6 hours. That's right, 6 hours. They are a softer base. You cannot put these in the refrigerator to speed up the hardening time. You're much better just letting them sit on the counter to relax for 6 hours or so. Then we'll come back and unmold them. I'm really happy that we started with that base because it has just invigorated me to move to one of the more complicated ones. I say we give the suspension base a try next. So for this batch, I'm going to split my container into 2 equal parts. Pop it out. It's pretty easy to see what the middle is because of the way the container is created. Then I will chop it up. So one of my tips for suspending melt and pour base is to work as cool as you possibly can, especially if the things you're trying to suspend are large. As an example, using a glitter like this one that is larger in micron size is going to be a lot easier for a suspending base than something heavier like these gold beads. A glitter this size, when added to a regular melt and pour base, would fall to the bottom, but in a suspending base, it stays floating throughout the bar. So to 1/2, we're going to add our heavier micas and eco glitter, and to the other side, we're going to add the largest particle that I could find, which are these gold bursting beads. I'll show you the difference in how the melt and pour manages those, and we will fragrance the entire batch with this volcano scent from Midwest. This is a beautiful duplication scent of the Capri Blue Volcano fragrance. The rest of the soap making for this particular portion of the video will be in fast motion with notes on the screen. The African black soap has been sitting now for about 6 hours, so I can safely unmold it without any fear of the melt and pour shifting. Just gonna peel it out easily, and this is what it looks like. It's such a smooth and pretty bar, and that vanilla powder suspended all throughout the soap because it is really, really light. Now, obviously, I have some bright lights in here, so there's a pretty harsh reflection, but that should let you see how shiny this melt and pour is. And now that I've unmolded it, I will be wrapping it within 2 hours because we don't want any soap sweat to get on these bars. And the best way to avoid that is by getting it into an airtight wrapping situation as quick as possible. Gosh, these are so pretty though. Now that I've unmolded those, I can use these again. Okay, let's unmold some of these goldy soaps as well. Oh, look how pretty. It looks almost celestial. And you can see my little gold beads have suspended all the way through from tippy top to the bottom. The trick, again, being to pour as cold as you can and give everything a good stir. But you can see right here, if I can get my camera to focus, yep, you can see top to bottom all the way suspended. Looks gorgeous. Some of them, for reference, I poured hotter so that I could show you what happens when you pour too hot. When you remove the soap, it looks super good. And you can see there is some suspension on the sides, but I would have gotten better suspension and more even distribution had I waited a little longer. So that is why I say 115 degrees to 120. And again, these are some of the absolute heaviest things to suspend. I did that on purpose to kind of show you that the base does do a good job. You can see even when I poured too hot, there are still some items suspended in there. And of course, with something like a flaky mica, it does a really beautiful job. All of those flakes are evenly distributed. Our last soap that we're making will be using the SLES and SLS free clear base. And this is going to be really simple, but a very effective design. So we're going to begin by putting a little bit of this copper ultra sparkle mica into the bottom of our rectangle molds. Basically, I'm just going to take a bit and shimmer it down the middle, kind of on a diagonal. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then I'm going to take some of this. This is my secret weapon for the most beautiful green in melt and pour you could possibly hope to achieve. It is like a true dark forest green. And then I will use 10 grams of the Fraser Fir Fragrance Oil by Candle Science. Look at this green. It is absolutely stunning. We're going to use 1 gram of that. I'll mix it up. Please. Look at that green. Like, can you see the green with the copper? That's going to be so gorgeous. And then, of course, I have my 1,000 grams of melt and pour, so I'm going to go ahead and melt that down. It took about 3 minutes to melt everything down. So now I can add in my color and fragrance. Y'all are gonna love this. Look at that color. Ugh, it is just so stunning. So I'm gonna mix this about 30 seconds or so. You really don't have to blend it in for very long. I just like to make sure that the fragrance oil has truly bound itself to the melt and pour. But it's not like candle making where you have to blend for just the right amount of time at just the right temperature. It's a lot more forgiving than that. Okay, so I'm gonna spritz that down just a little bit, and now that it's been blended, I have my 2 molds prepped. I'll probably only need 5 cavities, but I'd rather be over prepared than under prepared. And then I will start by pouring the soap into an area that is not near the glitter. I don't want to move the glitter, and I found that this is the absolute best way to pour. Very slow, very steady, not in a rush. Just cover up that little bit of glitter, and then we'll spritz the top with rubbing alcohol. This is going to be so pretty. I cannot wait to unmold this final bar. Look how stunning that is. Now, admittedly, these projects today took all day long. I started this video at like 11 a.m. and it's now 9 p.m. and I have gone through quite literally almost 18 pounds of melt and pour today. So I will unmold these final bars tomorrow. I will take all of their pictures and we will show some close-up shots of all the pretty soaps. But this is kind of my formal outro where I say thanks for watching. Thank you so much to Stephenson for sending me all this melt and pour. For all of your melt and pour needs, you definitely should go with Stephenson. They are who I use. I absolutely love the quality of their melt and pour. It's perfect. Here again is a list of some of the United States suppliers where you can get them. And if you want the written PDF version of the 3 recipes that I made today, you can sign up for that down below. It's just an email link. I will send that to you. It's kind of this new thing where I'm trying out like sending people soap recipes via email. Okay, I just think it'll be really, really fun. One of my goals for 2024 is to make more craftable recipes for free that I just put out there and that you guys can access at any point in time. These will include all different types of soap recipes. We'll be doing more Royal Creative Academy videos. I know we've actually been saying that for a while, but I have them on the docket and I actually am going to be filming some very, very soon. So those will actually be coming out. We're going to go more in depth about cold process soap making, etc. So you're definitely going to want to be on my bestie friend email list for that. And you guys have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy the unmolding portion of this video and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye for now.